Welcome in, everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. Got everybody in the house today. What's happening, guys?
Another win by the Philadelphia Flyers.
Nice.
70% chance to make the playoffs. Subtracted by a 0.7% chance of the Kraken making the playoffs.
That feels high. That 0.7 feels high.
0.7%.
No, I understand. Like if you said 0.07, then I'd be like, that feels about right. Yeah, the Kraken going 1-7-2 in the last 10 is not a way to try and enter the playoffs. That being said, if that's how you're going to come down the stretch, I prefer you not make it anyway, because you would be just embarrassing yourself getting in there. They're getting beat up by everybody. Everybody is putting 5 to 6 goals on these guys over the last, 6-7 games. So, the offense still isn't there, and now the defense isn't there either. They also can't do any penalty kills. They've been giving up goals on power plays. So literally all 3 phases of the game, they're not particularly good. So that's not a team you necessarily want to see in the playoffs anyway.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is really the case. Did you guys come out strong in the first period? The first period, you guys are like ahead.
Yeah.
If
the games were 20 minutes long, they'd be killing it.
So,
National Zoo Lovers Day. Okay.
Zoolander Day?
Zoo
Lovers. Got it.
Zoo Lovers. Yeah. Same difference.
Zoolander would be an interesting day.
That would be very interesting. Yeah, but the Flyers now have a 70% chance of making the playoffs. And it is all going to go down during the NFL draft. And they're saying, "Oh, well, they're not going to be able to do it. It's going to be, it's going to be too much happening all at once." That's not how that works.
No.
The NHL is not going to stop because of the NFL.
No.
So,
no, they'll make the NFL pivot. Like if they're going to if anything's going to happen, that's how that'll work. Especially playoff time, right? Like they don't mess with each other's playoff schedules.
No, they pay attention. They try to I wouldn't be surprised to see it maybe be Wednesday night and Saturday night where they could try to, not interfere a lot with the draft.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it.
Yeah, you see them adjust times, right? So when the Seahawks were headed to the playoffs, they manipulated other sports times around it.
Right.
So that's the kind of stuff they'll do. They don't generally you got to go somewhere else.
Well,
but they
exactly.
will adjust times.
And the NFL draft is a big enough event, and there's going to be a lot of people in. It really actually works for Pittsburgh's benefit because Flyers fans won't be able to come in and get a room. There ain't no rooms.
Yeah.
It's sold out already. So any Flyers fans that are coming in are going to have to leave right away.
Yeah.
Or go out and stay in West Virginia.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're probably going to be driving.
Which is kind of like being in Alabama, just different.
There it is. First 5 minutes. All right, here we go.
Oh, no, it started before the show. He pretended to be interested, and then You know when people ask you a question and then they like already have their response made up before you start talking? I was like, oh God, here we go. So, my coffee cup is for Philly sports guy being back.
There's the toilet.
Nice.
That is my Philly sports guy coffee mug.
Damn.
Aha, there it is.
Rough
There it is. Just in case for you guys that are on the radio and can't see, the Dodgers are starting to fall apart already and have everybody starting to get hurt. Mookie's hurt. Rojas is hurt. I tell you, all you people in Seattle, rejoice. The Dodgers are going to not make the playoffs.
I still don't think that's going to be a thing. Besides, if you're going to have people getting hurt, this is the time of year you want it to happen.
For sure.
I mean, because so many teams do start slow. You can overcome a bad month now. You can't overcome a bad month later. So like if they were getting hurt in August, that'd be a real concern. Do we get these guys back in time for the playoffs? Stuff like that. If you're getting hurt in the spring, like who cares?
Yeah.
It's
especially with this long of a season. And the fact that like if we're gonna make conclusions too early, nobody in their division is still 500 yet. So like I need to see not only if they're gonna falter, who's gonna take the reins if they do.
Yeah.
And Nick has been waiting for you because he sent that exact same message yesterday before he realized you weren't here. And then when he found out you weren't here, he logged off and didn't watch the rest of the show. So he has been waiting for you for an entire day.
He can wait all he wants. You know, it's okay.
That man loves you.
The Dodgers are going down. And they are going to be in the exact same position as the Kraken.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a thing. Like, especially because the Kraken aren't hurt. You know, they have a couple of guys that are banged up, but I mean, not enough to be doing what they're doing.
So, but yeah, as everybody starts to get hurt now, it'll be fine. Yeah, they will. They'll fall apart. It's coming. It's coming.
I'm rooting for it. I hope the Dodgers do. I hope you are correct. I will throw you a parade.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I'm here for it. If it happens. I just don't think it does.
And I just want to say, right now that my Pirates are 7-3. Right now.
Nice.
Now I understand
he looks better each start, right? So yeah.
I tell you, it is one of those things where I'm going to be a lot more right than you guys think I am.
I mean, it's early. Let's calm down. we are 10 games in. Like it's cool.
Well, 11. You know, it's funny because they're still in third place. I mean, the Reds are started off hot. The Brewers have started off hot. Actually, everybody in that division almost has a winning record except the Cubs. You know, which I don't think any one of us picked the Cubs to win anything.
I think we had them as wild card teams.
Who took the Cubs?
I think I took.
Oh, both of you guys took the Cubs.
I thought I had him as a wild card.
You did have him as a wild card. He had him as the division winner.
Gotcha. I was going to say because I should have picked the Brew Crew there.
You did.
Yeah.
I will say that everybody else in the NL West is stinking up Royals, so it's going to take, you know, the Dodgers could probably go 500 the rest of the way and probably still make the playoffs because everybody stinks over there in the West.
I mean, again, we're early, 10, 11 games in. Records today don't really matter, which is good because the Mariners look awful. So we do have that going for us. Thanks to the A's for consistently being terrible and at least making it so we're not last in our division.
And I tell you, the Angels are looking like a sweet team.
You know, the
They're
Angels
6-6.
had a good series against the M's.
They did.
You know, robbing 3 home runs in one game was pretty impressive. That's a career day. And then the videos, same guy. Yeah.
Robbed 3 home runs. I assume it wasn't Trout.
No. I'm forgetting his name offhand, but yeah, it was their right fielder.
Right fielder.
And yeah,
the last one took him into the stands, I think.
it did, exactly. So that one was a little bit different because the wall in the corner there is
Joe Adele
is a baby gate. Like, it is so short. But the other 2 he actually had to jump to go get. That one in the corner was impressive just because he was going over the fence as he caught it and ended up in the stands again because the fence is waist high there. But yeah, so he robs 3. And then last night there was a fight, just a little bit of a boxing match also with the Angels. So, they're making some noise. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's hard to figure out. Like, I can't wait to hear the John Boy on that one. Because there's a lot going on there.
Well, it was because he had multiple pitches that were high and inside. And so he took exception to the fact that he was, getting kind of close to his face. So after the, the throw down to second, he's like, you know what? I got enough time.
Yeah.
You're here. I'm here. Let's go.
Yeah. I love how, too, in basketball, if you leave the bench, you're out of here. But baseball, everybody's just, whether you have anything to do or not, you at least got to leave the bench and run out there and do something. Because there's always one guy who jogs out there and just standing way away, like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. So
yeah, right, they're like, I'm showing support, but not enough to actually get punched in the face. Like, that's why I about the bullpens. If anything else, they should just stop out there in center field and fight amongst themselves. Right, you're still involved. You're just not down inside because you're not playing today. So you get to have the secondary fight.
I just needed something to do.
I mean,
if nothing else, you're like, hey, at least I got some action today. Like,
and I really believe that they should, this whole thing with the pitchers not batting, it protects them a little bit more.
Yeah,
you know what? You should let them go up there.
I'd be okay with that. Especially you're going to throw 90 at somebody's head and then just be like, okay, no retaliation.
Yeah, I mean,
because if you're a batter and you see your pitcher do that, you're like, thanks, man. So now I get to be the target. Appreciate that. Why don't you take my next at bat and we'll call it even.
But real baseball players do understand. Like, I mean, what was that? I just saw the other day about the one guy who's been hit by the same pitcher 6 times.
Yeah, he was also mad.
But he did it the better way. And the shortstop from that team should go up and jack up their pitcher there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he wasn't able to play the rest of that game because he got that hard slide. Yep. And that's the way you do it. If you're gonna, you know what? He did the hard slide. It was a legal hard slide.
Yep.
He didn't go he knew he was going to go hard. And I appreciate the fact that he didn't go spikes up.
Yeah.
Because that changes it. He's like, yeah, I'm going to bowl this guy over. It's going to be legal. I'm not going to stab him, because that's what will happen with those metal spikes. Those are metal spikes. Those are not kid spikes out there. And then ran right off the field. And that pitcher deserves all the credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
6 times getting hit.
Yeah, no, that's a lot. That's a lot. Like
Yeah.
that definitely earns you some throwing hands. Like that definitely does. You know, at the same time, if you're that guy that you know that the other pitcher is going to line up on because you're just the next guy up, you're like, well, at least my on-base percentage is going to go up. I know I'm getting on at least once today.
Oh, we'll see. But I think that you're going to start seeing more of this. You know, there's going to be a lot more fights this year.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm all for it, by the way. You should give him 5 minutes for fighting. You have to play a man down out in the field.
Sounds suspiciously similar to another sport.
Yeah. Imagine that. Like, hey, listen, you have 5 batters. For 5 batters, you have to play with 8 players. Imagine being 2 men down. They have to play with 7.
That would be really funny, actually.
Yes. Oh.
I
mean, I guess if you were doing it, it would be the infield, right? You get rid of like the third and probably second, and you play with the shortstop and first. And
actually, my first thought would be is that you would first take off the left fielder and play with left center, right center.
That's a lot. That's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, I know, but it's
any ball in the air is coming down.
you can phase depending because people don't pull the ball anymore, or they don't
push.
So
yeah.
you could go that way. I don't think that's as big a deal. And then the next is I would probably remove third base.
Yeah.
Yeah, because shortstop usually has better range.
Remove the catcher first. Make it interesting.
You're just throwing for contact at this point. You're just like, you know what? Put it in play, man. Like,
we'll deal with it then.
There is zero chance the ump is hanging out for that one. You're like, here's a glove, protect yourself.
No, I could see left field and I could see left field in third base. I like that concept.
Yeah, I could see that. Being down the 2 inside just because the bases are close enough. Like if you were to do first and your shortstop, because your first can come off the bag a bit. Anything straight up the middle obviously still makes it out into play.
Yeah, and depending, like my thought is that for left-handed batters you have your second baseman in. For right-handed batters you have your third baseman in. You know what I mean? Like, so those are the 2 positions that I would be fooling with.
Sure. Well, and of course you could play a deep position with your infield if you had the left fielder out. Obviously they can fade back. But
yeah, I mean, because realistically, unless somebody is like, and this is now ridiculous talk because they're never going to do this, but
I thought you were just talking about our show for a second.
This is par for the course here.
Right?
So, but I think that penalties in baseball is perfect. Let's do it.
Wow.
You just never want to be 3 men down. 3 men down is too much.
That's a lot of fighting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like you're not doing a whole lot of baseball by the time you've lost that many players.
Well, then you're playing banana ball is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you haven't even really talked about if certain people get thrown out, like if your pitcher gets thrown out, now are we moving everybody around and shuffling everybody? We bringing in another pitcher, but then I lose another permanent position. Like there's a whole lot. You're gonna have to flesh this idea out before you bring it to MLB.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden it's a position player just launching cupcakes. Plus, you don't have the fielders to go pick it up. Like it sounds like these scores are going to be ridiculous.
Yes, the center fielder comes in the pitch, and he has to run back to center field before the ball gets there.
Pitching, Bugs Bunny. First base, Bugs Bunny. Second base, Bugs Bunny. Third base, Bugs Bunny. Well, that's how they play extra innings in banana ball.
I got you.
They
That being said, I
they
would watch that.
you have one player and one pitcher, and you hit the ball, and you got to keep going.
Mhm.
You got to either score or you're out. But it's ultimately you hit the ball wherever, and that one player's got to go run and get the ball. And then the same thing with the pitcher. The pitcher's got to run and get the ball. Obviously, somebody is catching.
Yeah, someone has to. Right. Yeah. No,
And
I could see that. It'd be like, oh, did you see the game? Yeah, 27-20. Wait, what sport were you watching? Like,
kicking extra points there.
Oh man.
Anyways, so just to go back to it, Flyers right now in the playoffs. Brad, I know that you just asked me if the Flyers will be the playoffs.
Yeah.
I have them at 70% chance. I think they will be the playoffs. The Flyers will be the playoffs.
Yes. He's gonna bounce out today too, because I kind of made fun of him yesterday also, because his thumbnail there is the Riddler outfit, and I was like, you'd be the worst Riddler because the answer is always Philly. Like, not gonna work. And then he was just poof gone. I was like, well, that's fair.
Yeah, but I actually 70% chance is a good chance. They looked good last night. It's it was a great game to watch. There was a lot of Flyers fans that were up at the Prudential Center. Which was good to see. Philadelphia is starving for playoff hockey.
We got 4 games left. And what did you say to start this? You said you needed 6 or 4 of 6.
I thought it would be best if we had 5 of 6. Yeah, I thought that we needed. I have it right now. Our magic number is 6 points. So if we win 3 games, we tie 2 and win 2. I think 6 points will get us in definitely. 5 is a fight. You know what I mean? Because I think that, and it doesn't matter if they happen with our wins or the Islanders' losses. See, this is where there's nothing else to do in Alabama, and somebody who is just a Fugazi fan and starts to think, hey, I'll like the Dodgers.
Is Nick in Alabama?
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
He's not in LA. So, anyways. And Banana Ball, listen, the Banana Ball League is doing very well. Thank you.
They are doing well. Yeah, and
they
have a real chance at doing even better than the MLB, since they're probably going to strike next year anyway.
How about that? We were talking the other day how we thought that baseball was the 3rd best sport. Baseball overtook basketball.
Yeah, well, I mean, so basketball overtook MLB this last year. So, I mean, MLB largely was the 2nd best one forever. And then the NBA jumped in front of them. But the NBA has been such a trash product that
they have now lost it again. It is now back to baseball being the number 2 sport.
Yeah. No, and I mean, which makes sense because the NBA is
garbage
to watch. It is tough to watch.
Well, especially in regular seasons. Plus, Major League Baseball doesn't have any competition during the summer. So if you're always a traditionalist and you've got that to watch. Basketball, if your regular season is going to be trash, and you have a lot of football competition going through the year, like nobody's watching. I don't even watch an NBA game until Christmas.
Yeah.
And now other sports are starting to creep in on Christmas. So it's getting relegated there too. So now they've got to improve the regular season if they want to continue any of the ratings. I'll watch the playoffs, especially the later rounds, but
You mean the in-season tournament isn't capturing your interest?
the in-season tournament that happens like 2 days after the season starts, where they're like,
Exactly. And then whoever is in it is like, we'll just mail it in from here.
See,
Right. You know
but that's again, this is where the NBA could actually do something right, but they're not going to. On Christmas should be the final of the in-season tournament. That's where you have the finals at. That's how it ends. It's like, okay, and then we'll have a couple of other games leading up to it, but the final of the in-season tournament is on Christmas Day. That's our Super Bowl of the middle of the season. Why wouldn't you do that? It makes sense. It again
because then you go down from like having 5 games on that day to having 1, and you're putting all your eggs in one basket.
No, because they have in-season tournament games along with everything else. You could still have 4 games.
On the days that you have an in-season tournament game, those are just in-season tournament games, especially early on. They give you like Tuesdays and Fridays, and you can't schedule another game.
That's not true.
It is true. Go look at the very beginning of it. On a Tuesday and a Friday, those are actually just in-season tournament games.
I understand, but they have regular season games and in-season tournament games happening at the exact same time.
No. On the beginning, when it starts, that's why they have the special court and everything. They give you 2 days during the week for the opening rounds, and you just play in-season tournament games on those days. Like a Tuesday and a Friday. It'll be just in-season tournament games. Secondly, let's say, like in your thing, we can't have 5 other games on Christmas because if we have the finals, we don't know who those 2 teams are going to be, so we can't book other teams, right? So you have to say, all right, what else are we going to do? Like, let's say we book, I don't know, the Thunder and the Knicks, and all of a sudden they're in the finals. Are we canceling their home games or canceling whatever games they had and throwing the other 2 teams together?
Well, you would just move a game. Yes.
So you would sell tickets for something at Christmas, like you've announced this as your big thing. And then when it actually has to move, you're just telling somebody in New York, hey, sorry, we're actually having this game in Vegas or something. So you're just going to lose this home game. If I'm the NBA and I have Madison Square Garden scheduled,
if you're playing in the finals,
I'm not moving.
If you're playing in the finals of this, of that, you're playing 83 games in that season, right? Not 82, 83.
Right? Because I think just
Correct?
The finals and the semifinals don't count towards your regular season.
Okay, so 84 if you're playing in the finals.
I think so.
I think it could be done. I'm just saying.
I think you just ignored every argument that I just had, and you were like, I think it could be done.
And you can watch these two go at it with inflatable boxing gloves, and you can bet on it right here, coast to coast. Using the QR code on the screen, up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee. I would watch that.
I don't know, these big hands.
The sumo suits, the inflatable sumo suits.
I got a lot of girth behind me.
Take that bet. It gets some ratings.
Exactly. See, of course, it's the Alabama connection.
Man.
So what else is happening in the world of sports?
Well, today opens, or actually yesterday opened free agency in the WNBA. And so we should start hearing about deals coming through today. And you weren't here yesterday, but one of the first real trades of the WNBA season was Angel Reese going to Atlanta. So Chicago just trying to lose games at this point. They're giving all their stars away, and they're getting draft picks, but who cares? And Atlanta looks like they're going to have a real team. I mean, they were a decent team anyway. So adding a great rebounder will absolutely help them, because they're not going to try and use her as a point guard.
Yes, they will actually have guard play to surround her.
Exactly. So that's gonna fit her skill set very well. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But yeah, free agency is fully underway over the next few days. So we should hear, the familiar faces in new places kind of situation. And I'm very curious to see what the Storm do, since we don't have anybody on the roster. It's going to be a whole new team. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be good to watch over the next few days.
Yeah. And you'll see some of those bigger deals that the people have been waiting, for the new CBA to sign too as well. So
Absolutely.
I don't know how much player movement you'll actually see, though. It feels like a lot of these teams were preparing just to offer their own people more money and keep their cores together. So that's what I'm interested in seeing.
I think that's going to be the primary goal for a lot of these teams. And the only reason is you have a little bit of an in because the people already live there, right? So it's going to be, does the player want to move and all of that, considering you are, what is today, the 8th? You are less than 20 days away from training camp, right? So do you want to try and move during all of that too? Right. I think the teams could be like, hey, you know what? We'll match whatever if you stay. I think a lot of players will entertain the idea of coming back, even if it was just like a 1-year deal, because they're like, well, I don't want to have to find a new team and move in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. And the draft is on Monday?
Yeah.
It's always the worst publicized draft of like all time.
Well, and they don't do anything for it either. I mean, it's it's televised, but like it's not. They don't hype it up. They don't. Yeah, I don't know. Like you're right. It is the worst. It is the worst type of thing. If you're going,
I had to go look it up.
That's the problem, right? And I mean, that's been the problem with the WNBA's marketing team for years. Like most people, yeah, exactly. I always joked that a high school DECA program could outperform the WNBA's marketing team.
They're awful.
It's been bad. In most years, you had to look up when the season started because you never knew. And we had a team here that's routinely in the playoffs. And, even here, you're just like, when's it start? Oh, it already started. Okay. So, hopefully with them being on major networks this year, it will, that will get better. I'm not holding my breath, but
I feel like that's going to make them lazier. They're just like, all right, we've already got the TV deal. We're good. We don't need to hype it up. ESPN will handle that for us. And that'll kind of be it.
Hey, listen, I mean, but not for nothing. The the women's NCAA tournament, would you have even known that anything was going on in that if there wasn't a fight between Gino and South Carolina?
I would have, just because I follow, but I get your point. It did definitely, and it dominated. We talked about that yesterday. It dominated the storyline afterwards too, as well. Even up until this morning or yesterday when Gino officially apologized and they announced it. So his second apology. But that's we said it, like UCLA should be the story, but that was still the story. So
yeah, you still haven't really heard anything about UCLA. No. I mean, they go 27-1, absolutely crushing everybody, and we're days removed, and we're still talking about Gino and Dawn and the fight, and now apologies and all of this. Completely lost in it is your national champs.
Exactly.
That did work. Right? Like it wasn't even particularly close. Like they beat them up. So,
and their one loss of the whole year, they avenged in the tournament by beating Texas. So it's like they took down everybody that they needed to take down. So,
and Joe, you're kind of not wrong, which is terrible.
Yeah.
And for our radio audience, his comment is bingo has better ratings than the WNBA draft. And sadly, that's probably accurate on the Ocho.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. It was the Ocho that.
But they don't
Yeah,
even
no,
try. Especially in the last two drafts, they've had great stars.
Yep.
And it's like they're just hoping you tune in for those people, and they're not trying anything else.
No, I mean the worst part about that is they're gone in the first round, so it's not like you're going to watch anything else anyway.
Right.
So I wouldn't be able to tell you the first thing about any woman who's going to get drafted anyways. Like unfortunately, this is a larger based problem. And what I mean by that is that you have to start to give credence to the women that are playing. And Caitlin Clark, we heard about nonstop. There hasn't been anybody to take her place, really.
Well, I mean, it makes sense that you heard about her all the time because she was setting NCAA records, right?
Right.
So you don't have anybody that's setting records right now. So you're not getting those extra headlines from it.
But with guys, you're hearing about good players throughout the season.
Right.
Women, you're not hearing about good players throughout the season.
No.
It's just not, or at least not in any real sense of maybe, hey, somebody had a good game or not. You know what I mean?
There's no debating that the marketing machine is geared more towards the men's side. Like there's no debating that.
Right. Right. No, we actually talked about that exact point, before on the show. They basically put all their eggs behind Caitlin Clark. And so like last season when she was injured, they were like, what do we do now? But even when they put all their eggs behind, in that basket, they didn't do anything with it. Like that first season, I would have had every Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese matchup be prime time, hype machine, interviews before. And they just kind of threw the game out and it sold out and they didn't really care. And then in your next season, I realized not as big as stars, but Paige Buchers was a huge college star and a great personality and someone you could have thrown something behind. They did absolutely nothing. They were just like, she's going to get drafted number 1. Good luck. And then, like, to your point, she just disappears and nobody hears about her.
I mean, all things being equal,
that's what the WNBA does.
All things being equal, they, even with all of them hurt, because somehow they all got hurt towards the end of the year, they were still setting record numbers without them, not only not on the floor, but in some cases not even in the building. And so, I mean, when you're looking at single game attendance and attendance for the season, all of that, a lot of that happened Caitlin Clark was in and out of the lineup all year. Like she was banged up from the jump. Angel Reese missed the last, quarter of the season. Paige also missed a ton of time, especially primarily towards the end. So it's,
and in all of those names, you still haven't mentioned the best player in the league.
Well, Asia was killing it. I mean,
yeah, that's what. But I'm again, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, for instance.
Oh no, I was talking about the players that the WNBA was trying to hype up.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And you didn't even mention their best player in the league. They're not even trying to do much with her.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's part of the thing. Like, for instance, if I am the WNBA, I am targeting the day after the All-Star game. And I would name that Women's Day. You know what I mean? I would make it an unofficial holiday of sorts. Like for the WNBA, I would have every team play and almost make it like, hey, like we're going to have business person specials for, women's basketball, similar like they do in baseball getaway days. 45,000 fans go out to baseball games at 1:00 in the afternoon during the week. You know what I mean? So it's not unrealistic to think that they could do that. The day before and the day after.
They do have stuff like that.
Well, I'm saying that the day after the All-Star game is the only day that there's no sports in professional sports. It's the one day. I'm not including the home run derby being a sport. You know what I mean? Because that gets a lot of views, and it's hard to compete against that. But the day after the All-Star game, there is no sports. And it was traditionally the day before and the day after were the 2 days that there were no sports. I would now make that day, that Wednesday, Women's Day. And I would have games starting at 1 o'clock, 2:30, 3:30, 5 o'clock. I would promote it now. I would start going crazy. I would actually, try to get as much viewership on that day to watch the entire day of women's sports. And that's how I now, and that's just me being a marketer.
Yeah.
It's like it's the one real day that you know of that you can focus your entire gender on sports, that the entire world could turn and look at women in sports because there's nothing else going on.
You're going to have that on, the Women's Sports Sunday on ESPN now.
Well, no, but that's, again, I understand that, but they're going to do that for Women's Sports Sundays. But then there's going to be guys that are going to watch baseball games because there's baseball games that happen on Sunday.
Sure.
So they're not going to be watching TV as much. They'll go to the games, or they'll watch the broadcast of the baseball game and stuff, and not focus on that. I'm talking about days where you get to focus specifically.
A lot of those are going to be like Agent K in the comments here, who's just not going to watch because it appears to be a little bit of a hater in general. So, they're not going to watch anyway. Right. So, it's, I get what you're saying though. Like it's not that that's a bad idea at all. It just, I don't know that it's going to sway the people that are just anti women's sports.
Oh no, I don't think you're right. It not necessarily would do that, but if you want to capture attention during a time when there's nothing to keep your attention, and listen, we've done this show in the summer.
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to figure out what to talk about because baseball gets boring. Now after the All-Star game.
Yeah, before the All-Star game, yeah, if you're talking the first third of the season, like baseball can be rough for sure.
So now you've gotten into July, you've got people that are on vacation and stuff like that. I'm just saying that would be a day that if I was any bit in charge of the WNBA at all, I would lean into. That would be my Super Bowl Sunday type of thing. I would force everything to focus that way, and maybe women's sports as a whole should start to do that. Like, hey, this is our day. This is women's sports, National Women's Sports Day, the day after the All-Star game.
This one cracks me up because this lets you know that this is somebody that not only doesn't watch, but doesn't pay attention at all either, because the WNBA turned a profit this year without their new TV contract. And now they're going to make, $200 million a year on their new TV deal. So, and that was pretty largely publicized. So,
and I'm just happy that they are not. I am happy that they are not. I felt like for a little while they were trying to force feed women into the NBA. Like, when are we going to be able to have a woman come in the NBA and be able to compete with men? Blah blah blah. The WNBA helped that a few years ago. Obviously, the WNBA has been around now for a minute, so it's not like this is. That conversation started to dwindle as the WNBA came about. And, I kind of applaud that we don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to worry about, a woman going into the NBA, because I think that there would be just so many things unfair about that whole situation.
Yeah, that wouldn't work particularly well. Like, it would have to be a perimeter shooter, right?
Right.
So I mean, obviously that's not going to be great, but you know,
And they've been smoked on the defensive end.
I think the WNBA's overall skill level is high enough that you don't have to have that conversation anymore either.
Right. I agreed. So, and I feel like that's attributed to the NBA helping get that up and about. You know, it's like, listen, that's the NBA has always been big on trying to promote diversity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that falls into that category when it comes to women. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's gender-based diversity, but still it falls into that. And the NBA should be applauded in that regards.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I mean, let's keep in mind the NBA didn't make a profit until the 80s either. So they were around for, 30 plus years before they turned a profit too. So, I mean, that is actually pretty common for sports leagues when they start. It takes them 20, 30 years to actually make money. I mean, the NBA the NFL wasn't the juggernaut that it is until really the 80s either. So, I mean, arena football was giving them a run. That's why the NFL tried so hard to crush them, and it worked.
Right.
But now they print money downstairs and they let everybody be a league because they're like, oh, we're just going to try stuff out in your league. But and then Nick, just to answer your question here, preseason games start on the 25th of this month, so it is coming quick.
Yeah, and May 8th is the official start of the season.
Yep.
And it's not disrespectful. Nobody ever knows. That's one of our problems with the WNBA. Every year when it starts, we have to go look up. We have to look up everything.
This conversation to begin with.
Exactly.
We weren't. I wasn't arguing with a lot. You're putting out more ideas than I feel like the WNBA puts out. I honestly think they just say, hope this star carries it. Don't even worry about it. Hopefully this goes well for us.
Yeah, I haven't figured out what their marketing machine actually does because, I mean, during the NBA finals, this was the wildest thing to me. The NBA finals, right? Now, the NBA has a controlling interest in the WNBA. So you would think that they would inherently want to promote this product. So during the NBA finals, you have a former WNBA player on the panel. We get no information about the WNBA, but they ran commercials for the NBA finals during the finals on a channel that you were watching the finals on, which means you don't need to advertise for the finals. You are physically currently watching it. And and we still couldn't get any WNBA anything with someone on the panel. Like, you don't need to run commercials for the thing you are currently watching.
Yeah, but that also becomes a matter of money, because they push that spot. That becomes a spot holder.
Sure.
In terms of, like for instance, the Super Bowl, they're charging ridiculous amounts of money for 30-second spots, and they never have a problem filling any of them.
No.
For basketball, when you do have that many people sitting there watching, you want to fill in those spots with as much advertising as you can. So you're advertising every time you see an advertisement for the finals while you're watching the finals. That's a spot holder. You could advertise here. That's what it should say. You could advertise here for $2 million for this 30-second spot so that we could make more money. They don't want to sell that to the WNBA because the WNBA would have to pay for that, and they're not going to spend that ridiculous types of money there.
No, but
I understand exactly what you're saying.
At the same time, it was obviously already not sold, right? Because you were running it. So you could just be like, hey, let's promote if you had a company and then you had a second company that wasn't doing as well, you had an advertising spot that wasn't sold. Are you going to advertise for the thing that's doing well with the thing that everybody's already watching? Or are you going to be like, hey, you know what? Let me try and prop up my business that I'm growing.
Right.
You own them both. It's not like it's a competitor or it's like anything to that effect. It's literally your sister company. I mean, yeah,
you are trying to make sense of something that doesn't make any sense.
No, exactly. No, but
So,
that's my
I mean,
point.
I get it.
This has been our problem for years with them. We are
Yeah.
putting more effort into it than I feel like anybody on their side is.
Well, it's because
And
it doesn't
that's
make
the
any
problem.
sense. That's the
Yeah.
problem, is it doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense. And that's
I
why
agree.
when we're looking at it, we're like, I mean, this seems like easy problems to bridge. And instead, here we are talking about this again, over the course of this show. I mean, years at this point of talking about why doesn't their marketing machine do anything useful for their league.
Thank you.
Also,
like to fill-
I still want my credentials, so don't crush me.
Well, like to Philly's point earlier with AJ Wilson, if you wanted an easy one, every time they played the Caitlin Clark, put that on something. All right, here is it. Is the turning that here's the current, here's the future. Put something to get throw it. You never hear about it. That game just happens. You never know. Yeah. You might just tune in on a random day on a random channel, and the game's happening. So I don't get it.
So this is one of those comments that I always love. Soon as somebody throws sellouts, that is a comment that I always find hilarious, because whether you are in sports, music, whatever, right? The goal is to sell out. You don't want to be a struggling artist forever, right? Yeah. Like eventually you want to make it so you can sell out. Like you don't have to, just because you get paid doesn't mean you have to abandon your love for whatever it is you're doing. But I certainly don't want to struggle my whole life because people prefer that.
I don't know what it means to be an NBA sellout anyway. Like, are you watching the NFL and enjoying it and watching a quarterback making $50 million and go, he's not a sellout? Like, I guess I don't get. I guess I don't understand what constitutes a sellout.
Yeah. Now, I get this part. If you're not liking the messages that they're putting out, and that's across all leagues now. If you wanted them to keep that separate from just go out and play the sport, I can even wrap my head around that.
That one goes with his last comment. He said, a guy was let go from the bull. Yeah, I didn't know that.
No. Like that's different. But when they're force feeding a narrative, I get not loving that. But
yeah. And to answer that for Agent K, when he's talking about the guy who got released from the Bulls, let's face it, that guy was also the 10th player. You know what I mean? So they dropped him mostly because, all right, he mentioned something and they didn't listen. If he was a top 3 player on that team,
he would still.
It would become a little bit more of a story, and they would weather that PR storm.
Exactly.
The fact that this guy was the 10th guy on the team, had played a total of maybe 3 minutes a game, if that. Mm-hmm. There's no need to deal with the PR storm with that. Is that okay?
In fact, a great way to see that is a couple of years ago when you had gambling with the Lions. The guys that were good, suspended, still on the team. The guys that weren't, they were looking for a reason to dump them anyway. So those staffers and those low-level players, gone. Skill level matters, right? You can endure a lot of crazy, whether it's on the field or, in the PR world, if the talent level is elite. Antonio Brown is a prime example of that.
I was thinking that when you said it.
Brain is a bag of cats, but the skill level was amazing. And so he got way more opportunities than, some people. If you're down third string guy and you get too many speeding tickets, they're like, yeah, you know what? You're just we got to move on. So is it a double standard? Absolutely. But they're paying for skill set.
Right. And I unfortunately, I'm not going to get into that. The other comment that you mentioned there, because I'm not going to start talking about religion in comparison to sports. But there's always going to be, they have to promote, just like, for instance, most sports now promote a cancer awareness day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, listen, everybody's against cancer. Of course, everybody's against cancer. Nobody wants to have cancer. Nobody wants to have cancer in their lives, like family and all that stuff. So, yes, I mean, they're going to do that. When it comes to religion, it's a lot harder to promote because there are too many gods out there. And,
sure.
You can't offend one by promoting the other. And I get it, and I understand, and I'm going to leave it at that. But I'm going to finish off my part. Somebody, I saw the, little bits, one of the new listeners.
Yeah, what's happening,
mentioned
Jay?
about Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
Mentioned about Jalen Hurts. And I have been hearing a lot about the Jalen Hurts situation. He's uncoachable and such like that. All of that.
Somebody asked you that question earlier. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. All of that talk is coming from Kevin Petrullo, who just got let go by the Eagles. And actually, he didn't even let him go. They gave him a different position because they didn't want to fire him because the Eagles actually, I feel, do things the right way. They're like, listen, it didn't work as offensive coordinator. We don't want to fire you from being a coach because we want you to be able to get another coaching position. So we're going to keep you on our staff here and we'll have you do something, be like the passing game coordinator again or whatever, but we're going to go a different way from offensive coordinator. And then he got another job and he cried about how Jalen Hurts was uncoachable. And when a coach does that, it tells me Jalen Hurts had it was just a Super Bowl MVP. If you can't control your player, that says more about you as a coach than him as a player. And that's what I saw. We all saw what Kevin Petrullo could do on the last play of the playoffs for the Eagles, where when Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni looked at each other and like, really, this is what we're going with? that said it all there. So to go crying to other people, who would ever want you to be an offensive coordinator again? That just showed exactly. You may have great skills. You may have had your first attempt at being an offensive coordinator in the wrong position, that you may not have been set up for success. And that's an Eagles problem. That was definitely Nick Sirianni's problem, I feel like, because Nick is the one that put you in that position. That being said, the moment you start crying about how players didn't do what you asked them to, and you had the right play calls, but they changed it on you and stuff like that. When the players don't trust you as a coach and you can't control the players, that says more about you as a coach than it does about the players in the league.
Yeah, of course.
Agreed.
Absolutely. And of course, that gets us to the top of the hour. If you've been listening to us on the radio, 97.3, we do have some smooth jazz headed your way. And of course, if you're watching on every other platform, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our stuff to you. Otherwise, we will see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody.
Peace.